Hello. It's me. We're making KQ2SCI. Well, I am. And you're watching. So, I posted this on Twitter yesterday. I found a program by NVIDIA called RTX Voice. Actually, it's called NVIDIA Broadcast, and it uses RTX Voice. And I can remove all background sounds from it. Why can't I see who followed? Angory. Thanks for following. That's weird. Where's the overlay? Oh, it's underneath everything. That's why. Okay, sorry about that. Next time it'll show up. Thanks for following. It cancels out all of the noise if you have. Whoops. If you have an RTX card, it'll work with GTX too, but I guess with RTX it works a little better. RTX video card, that is. So I'm testing it now. Let me know how it sounds. I'm very curious. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wish I could have been there live to do that, but it was like 2 a.m. my time, so I pre-recorded a video and it got pretty late and I sounded pretty tired and boring. But well, thanks for saying that. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Anyway, and I've also got, it also like removes the background from the camera. So before I was using for my camera, you know, Skype has a background replacement feature. And so what I do is go to Skype settings and bring up the little thumbnail of the background replacement feature, replace it with a green background, and then get OBS to capture that. Am I peeking? Mike, let me turn it down a bit. Alright, let's try something like that, maybe. And so I was just capturing this tiny little thumbnail of my camera from Skype's settings window. And so it was in low resolution. Now, with NVIDIA Broadcast, I can do it in full 720p, so I might look a bit crisper. NVIDIA Broadcast, is that a behind-the-scenes look on behind-the-scenes streams? That's a joke. But it's super cool. There's different abilities you can do with the back. You can do background removal, you can do background blur or replacement. At first I did replacement and put my own green screen in there and use chroma key in OBS. But it does its own background removal. So like this black area is all alpha transparent. And it's automatically transparent. And I don't lose any green colors, so I can hold up something green. Do I have anything green? Fly swatter? Fly swatter's green, and it's not transparent. So, I thought it was pretty neat. And I'm using it now. So, like, I don't know how it sounds, but let me turn off the, whoops. The noise removal for a second. Okay, so this is normal. You can really hear every sound, I assume. If I turn it on, now it's on. I'm moving around, banging on the desk. Can you hear any of this? I just want to see if this is working. Awesome. So much softer now. I'm telling you guys, AI, machine learning, is the future. It's also going to make us so much lazier, and certain things are going to become a lost art, but just saw your Space Quest Historian video. Nice touch. Awesome. Thank you, Slats. Ryan. I gotta stop calling you Slats. Slat Studio. Ryan. I, for one, welcome our new robotic overlords. Absolutely. Amen, brother. What coding language is this all written in? It is SCI's original coding language, reverse-engineered coding language. So it's based on well, I guess it's derived a little from Lisp, but it's similar to C, but it's its own thing. Before with SCI Studio that Brian Provinciano made, we didn't have at the time hard examples of Sierra's SCI script syntax at all, so he kind of just guessed, and it made it kind of his own thing, a little more based on Lisp, with a few more parentheses. Lisp is notorious for utilizing tons of parentheses, apparently. And so he kind of just guessed. So when we got solid examples of actual SCI code from Sierra, when Phil Fortier made SCI Companion, he supports both now. It's the Studio script and the Sierra script. And it's just... so... Well, let's see if we can go over some differences. So, comparing to C, because that's the only other one I know, and C++, at the top, well, comments are created with semicolons, and you can't do the slash, star, star, slash closing comment blocks like you can in C. You can in Studio script, though, but I guess in SCI script, everything has to be a semicolon. You can't have comment blocks. So we start with the script number in parentheses, and this is a define or a macro or whatever. This swamp region script is set in game.sh in the header, and it just means it's number 707. So script number 707. We have includes to the headers sci.sh and game.sh, and then use. So these use different script classes. So this uses the main script, and everything in it is available to this script, which every script in the game needs to have the main script because it's the brains of the whole thing. Controls, Cycle, this handles animation. Game handles some game-specific features, like contains the general game functions, including the game handler class, region room classes, and status bar class. So, on top of the main script, which is like the brains, the game script is kind of like the... what would you call it? The hair? It gives it personality. It makes this game what it is. It, handles the status bar at the top, handling the points and everything. So the status bar is... it handles like save restoring games, so like it handles error messages for this game was saved under a different interpreter, it can't be restored. Some debug functions, it looks like. Some false, invalid sed statements, so if you type in something that it doesn't know what to do with, it's got these automatic errors here. Where is the status line? Oh, maybe that's in the main script. Anyway, so, and then feature, which handles a bunch of, so all of this stuff is just making the game work. Object is the base object class. Every object in the game is derived from this script. So like every actor, every view, every sound, every background, it's all based on object. And objects have different properties, and they can have... in C, they're called functions. In SCI, they're called methods. I guess in C++ they're called methods too. I didn't get too much into C++, but I go by slats, so it's cool. Okay. They wrote their own language for the games. Yes, they did. Predecessor AGI was also their own language. Yep, they did everything on like it was all programmed in C, I assume, in C, possibly C++, but for the scripting side, was their own language. Method. Yeah, so every room has what's called a do it method, which means every game cycle this code is always triggered. Handle event, which is all the interactions like mouse events and keyboard events, and sed statements when you type a sentence into the parser. And then it's not here, but there's also a change state method. Actually, there is one down here somewhere, which means you can queue specific states of the game for like cutscene sequences or certain animations, and that's what I'm doing now, because last time I programmed this, into the game. Falling into the swamp and dying, except he keeps getting caught on something, and I don't know what it is. That's driving me nuts. I think he's hitting the white control lines here, and his animation is not allowing him to go any further. Which, I don't know why that's happening, because I programmed this. I set... What's his sprite called again? Graham Drown. I've set it to be ignore actors and ignore control. Ignore blocks just crashes the game. So that must be handled internally automatically. I'm just going to get rid of it. Ignore actors, ignore control. Do I have to set like true on those? Maybe? No, doesn't look like it. Yeah, it's just a declaration triggering the method. So I don't know why it keeps getting stuck. It doesn't make any sense. Ignore control white. Oh, that one needs one. Of course it does. Okay. Ignore actors doesn't need it, but ignore. That's total brain fart on my part. So now he shouldn't get stuck. There we go. He falls in and drowns. Ta-da. And now I'm going to, today, just check this out again. Is it getting all the animation? No. So it's starting the animation on a different cell. I didn't notice this on Tuesday. But when he hits the water, he's supposed to fall into it, but because his animation is already on a certain cell, when I change the loop of the cell, when I change the loop of the view, sorry, so a view is a sprite that has a loop is a set of cells for animation, and so you have multiple loops. You have different cells of animation which handle, like, you know, facing north, south, east, west, doing the same animation type of thing. So when it's set on it ends on a certain cell when he's slipping and falling into the swamp, and then when it changes the loop, it's still on that cell index. So I gotta reset it. So set loop. I gotta set cell 0 now. I think he'll actually fall into the swamp now. Nope, still didn't do it. Set cell 0. This one? Okay, let me get a look at the view first. Graham Drown. Sometimes I wish these weren't named so I could sort by... I mean, if I do this I can, but I like to see it. Graham Drown. Slip fall. This is Bruce. Okay. So it's loop 4. Loop 4. Okay, so right here is where I need to set it. Set cell 0. There we go. It's a little slow though, I have to admit. Let's set the cycle speed to 1. Even though it is a swamp and it's kind of thicker water, even so, there we go. I could set his drowning animation there to be cycle speed 2. And then he'll be a little slower trying to get out. Might look a little too choppy though. Let's see. Most people play on about 2 notches higher speed. At least I do. That's alright. He struggles twice and then goes under for good. I think that works pretty well. I just need to handle this now for every screen with the swamp. At least the ones we have so far. Which include, at the moment, this one and this one. But right now, code is only handled when coming from the left, and he goes over and down a little bit every time. So I need to handle it on specific situations where, like, he's at the very bottom here. If he goes down anymore, he's going to hit the bottom of the screen. So he probably shouldn't fall down that low. And if swamp is on the left side of the screen, he's got to fall in from the other direction. So I have to have a specific case for every single room from this one script, which I hope doesn't bloat it up too much in memory. Nice animation. Thank you. I just winged that together on Tuesday, and I'm surprised it came out as well as it did. I'm gonna... Someone mentioned in the YouTube comments that it would look kind of neat if when he's slipping like this, there's like some dirt being scuffled up at his feet. So I'm gonna add that too. I think it's a really neat idea. You just put cell 0. I've never used set cell. What's the difference? Yeah, I think you can. Set cell is the method that basically just sets the property. It's basically the same thing. I'm not sure why it exists. Method set cell. Let's just look at it. There is no method. Oh, good. What? Set cell. Method set cell. Oh yeah, okay. Set cell. Yeah, it's from feature. What it does is, if there are no arguments, it does this signal. Okay. If new cell is -1, it does a specific thing. Okay. So it handles a specific case, like if there's no argument, if set cell has no argument, it just does this, whatever that is. If the argument new cell is -1, it does this instead. So it's doing something under the hood. If you just wanted to set the cell to a specific number, you could probably just do cell this and just access the property directly. This is messing with the... Okay, else. Otherwise, if it's not -1 and it exists, the parameter, assign signal... Okay, so it's doing something extra. It's assigning signal ORing with most whatever bit. Most... What's the word? Shadon, help me. Most... Oh, you're talking about it here. Hey, Brandon, enjoy SCI Deving. Thank you, Summer. Being drawn by vector is mind-blowing. It is, except this is not vector drawn. This is bitmap drawn, and I'm going to convert it to vector drawing because it'll be easier to handle certain things. Or I might just leave it. If I leave it, actually the undithering feature won't work in ScumVM, which I kind of like the idea of. But it makes the picture resource a lot bigger, I think, in the way it draws. It's converted from a bitmap with Companion's conversion tool, so it actually is drawn like this. One line at a time, one color at a time, through an algorithm. And it becomes huge. It's using pen tools and line tools, and so this isn't real actual dithering, it's drawing it one by one. And so it makes for a very large, 41 kilobytes, almost 42 kilobytes large, which is pretty big. SCI picture resources do have a maximum size limit, and if they're too big, it won't load in the game. I can't remember what the size limit is. It's probably 65 kilobytes or something. Set cell is different from cell. Doing set cell disables the cycler. Changing the cell directly doesn't. There you go. Set cell 1 sets the static cell 1. Cell 1 moves the animation frame to cell 1. Right. That makes sense. So if you wanted to change something and not have it continue, otherwise it would just keep animating, right? And you'd lose it. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, wow. Wow indeed how that works. Also, I want to showcase this again, just for people who weren't here Tuesday. This is a pretty neat discovery I made, and I was showing Ryan when he was here. Slats. If you select the whole palette and go to adjust, you can set the saturation, and it works as if it's, you know, a 24-bit image or 16-bit, whatever, 8-bit image, but it's using the 16 colors to interpolate, so you can change the tint of the screen, and it'll put like and you can do tint strength. So this is like a sort of easy way to make nighttime, dawn, dusk, daytime different palettes, which different games use, and I thought it was super cool. I can make it all green. And, you know, it's not perfect, but you can get something pretty neat. If you wanted something dreamy looking, add some cyan. Well, even that looks like it's nighttime, you know? Blue. pretty neat what you can do with this thing, this program. Okay, so we've handled this for one specific scenario. We need... Oh yeah, you know what? I'm not going to play that one, because that might get flagged. It's a fan cover of the GoldenEye song, made for GoldenEye Source, the remake. But it's so close that the algorithm might pick it up and flag it, so I'm not going to chance it. You think you'll use that for alternate world in this game? Oh, the Tower Realm? Probably not. I'm actually... Steven wanted to take a stab at the Tower Realm, at least one of the Tower Realm scenes, because the AGI game describes the water as incandescent and like this. I don't know if you can see this, like the Back to the Future hat, where it's all holographic. That's what the water's supposed to be like this. So he thought it would be an interesting challenge to take that on and see if he could reproduce that in EGA. I have no idea what to expect, but I'm really excited to see once he actually attempts it. I think he's still doing maybe some more swamp screens, but yeah, they're going to be made from scratch anyway. I don't think there's a need to use... I mean, that's one way to go about it. You could draw a normal looking landscape and then go into the palette adjuster and kind of shifts the colors around with tint and stuff to make it look more otherworldly like this, but never thought of that actually. But he's probably just going to make it from scratch. Hello Pixie, nice to see you. Steven's got great artistic intuition. I'm interested to see what he does with it. Yeah, me too. He's brilliant. I'd love to do a screen too, but my artistic talents are not up to scratch. Neither are mine. If you want to try your hand at one for fun, just take one and do it, and you know, if you want. Right now, there's a bit of a cohesive art direction problem with this game entirely, because I've got screens that I've traced that other people have made, and then I've got my own screens that I've done, and then I've got screens that I've traced over the originals, and then I've got this one down here, which was submitted by Gumby. I don't know his real name. Is that Jeremiah or Jeremy? Ryan? He's here a couple times. This is a bit of a stylistic clash. I'm just going to change the colors, and the shadows are in the wrong direction and way too long, but I'm going to keep this screen. It looks great otherwise. And then Ryan's done this one, which looks lovely. And then we've got Steven's swamp screens, which are on another level. So I've got to kind of bring it in, make it a little more cohesive. Andrew Branscombe, the collector from the CR Help pages, kind of edited these King's Quest IV screens from Lalote's Tower, and kind of added a window with the light streaming in, the purple light. These are fine right now. I think I'm going to take these and make them a little more quartzy, because it's supposed to be a quartz tower, not a stone tower. So that could be easily done by just changing the palette colors. So if I change this to like white, or white and gray maybe, and then this to... And the only problem with that is it keeps the black dithering, and it's a little too bright. Yeah, I don't know. I had a bunch of decisions to make eventually. I love the work everybody's done, and I'm definitely enjoying what everyone is contributing, or has contributed. So, swamp screens. Jeremiah, okay. He's one of the SCI gurus for sure. You know, he knows the parser really well. He helped me on a bunch. Well, I was trying to figure out a bunch of problems with the parser and sed statements and how they work. So what screen is that did this? This one. So if you make a simple sentence, it's pretty easy to do. So like you look, and then this greater than symbol just means continue parsing into the next said statement, kind of like nesting if statements. So look fence, we'll print this. Look tree, we'll print this. Look flower, comma means or. Look flower or window box or box, we'll print this. Look cottage, look window, and then this less than symbol is the semantic reference. So you type look in mailbox, and in has to be a specific type of word in the vocabulary. It's really complicated. It took forever to figure out how to do get basket of goodies from the mailbox. Turns out you don't even need a reference of. The parser will automatically accept it. So take basket / goodies. Take basket goodies. It'll automatically work with take basket of goodies. I've been trying to do like semantic references and like goodies basket with a semantic reference operator, and it was just, anyway. He did a whole bunch of experimenting on the parser system and how it worked and how it responded, and basically figured it all out. And he's got like a tutorial about it on the SAA programming forums. Response on the SQH videos at Swamp Screens was great. I know, it was so nice so gratifying to see people respond so well to his art, and I'm so lucky that he's working on this with me as much as he is. And he's just doing it for fun, and well, so am I. And so it's just great to have someone else who loves doing this stuff for fun, who can do some things that I can't. True artist for sure. Okay, swamp. Let's do this. Gram drowning of script. So we need to set states for this for every single scenario. So pick 17, pick 3, pick 88. Yeah, get rid of that. That, pick 10 and pick 17. So if it's pick 10, so we'll set it I don't want to have more than one script. Maybe I'll just have conditional statements inside the one script, inside each case. Shadon, you mentioned that you were Slot Studios, by the way. If you start using set cell, the special value of -1 returns to normal cycling. Set cell 0 stops cycling on whatever frame is currently displayed. Okay. So what I'm using it for is not actually doing what I expect, even though it does what? Like the animation. Normal cycling is just whatever it's animating on. Whatever cycler it's using, if it's forward, begin, end, or backwards. If you do set cell 0, it just stops cycling. So set cell 0 stops cycling on whatever frame is being... If it's animating, you mean? Because maybe if it's not animating... Because as soon as you set a different loop, the animation stops too, right? So right here, I set cell to 0. This isn't just setting the cell. It would also stop the animation. But because I've set a new loop as well, the animation has already stopped, so it actually does set the cell index. If I had left that animating and did set cell 0, it wouldn't go back to cell 0, it would just stop wherever it was. Interesting. So in that case, maybe I should actually do cell 0. If I want to use this correctly, I don't need this here. Like, it's still going to work. Yeah. If I wanted to use it properly. Okay. So once again, let's see. Okay, so if this is the other thing is I don't have any animating frames for him falling south or north, really. I just have left and right, which I could probably get away with using. So I just have facing east, facing west, facing east, facing west, facing east, facing west. Anyway, we'll deal with that when we come to it. Let's just handle the different areas of this screen. So we'll have to set a switch statement inside this case for, so we'll do all this the same. G equal hide, G equal drown. Position. So I'd have to do switch G current, no, G room number. This feels like a really complicated way to do this, but I can't think of any other way to do it. So if this is room 10, some of this shouldn't be duplicated though. For instance, the move to command is the only really thing that should be different. Yeah, so I just cut all this out. Drown, and then all this stuff could be outside the switch, right here. Okay, so it initializes him, sets Graham Drown's position the same as Ego's, because it's a different object, different actor, technically. Set loop based on whichever way he's facing, and I initialize it. I set the cycle to forward, but I will, depending on what room he's in, I'll move it to a different position, and maybe rectangle coordinates as well. So this all works if he's inside a rectangle of, say, here to here. Because if he's up here, I want him to fall straight down. I don't want him to fall off the screen. He's going to animate off to the right and down. So, but if he's down here, I don't want him to go down. I just want him to go over. So first of all, if he's in room 10, do that. But if, let's see, G ego in rect, so if in rect, yeah, I'm using it right. Let's say between 59. Okay. There, maybe. 95, 117.95 to 267, 160. If he's within that rectangle. Do that. But else if it's greater than G ego y, if G ego y is greater than 160. See, I don't even need this. Yeah. That. I gotta actually do if. We're not gonna move the y, we're just gonna have them stumble directly across, so we can just set this to equal y. Be wrapped. Parentheses, still messing up. Expected expression. Or did I mess up? Alright, okay. No, unknown procedure. Come on! Switch G room number. Oh, they don't need parentheses. Okay. I like how sensitive this compiler is. Catches every little thing. Else if greater than G ego x is greater than 267, we're not gonna move the x at all. But the y we can plus, let's say, 5 pixels this time. Else can I can't have more than one else? Oh. Oh yes, right, because maybe I should just nest it in here then. If else, if else, if. That'll work. Okay, but then I have to make this case for every case of the animation here. So switch your room number 10. Just copy. This is when he slips and falls. It does not matter where he is there. Right here is where it needs to be. So if it's room 10, and I need that rectangle again. I'm repeating this code here. It's the only thing I don't like. Usually when there's a lot of code repeating, it means you can wrap it up and put it away somewhere. I can't think of any way offhand to do that here. So if he's in the rect, do this. However, else if it's one state and then another state, else if it'll close right there. Else if, is it y is greater than 160 or x is greater than 267? Or Wait, is that what it was? 160. Y is greater than 160, or X is greater than 267. X, whoops, 67. Okay, if he's low on the screen, then we're going to make him move only horizontally and not vertically at all. So we'll change this just straight to, whoops, that. But if he's at the top on the far right, we need to make him not move horizontally at all. But the Y should be more pronounced, so we'll say 30 pixels. Okay, so far so good. And then by the time he crashes into the water, he drowns and we don't care, he's not moving anymore. Okay, so just those two cases. So when he's stumbling and when he's falling straight in. Let's see what this does. A blind test. So right here, he'll die as normal. If he's down like here, he goes straight over and in instead of going down. Good. I should make a save game there to make it easier. So we'll save dev test. Oh, looks like I can't get by there anymore. Okay, so should I leave that in there? What do you think? Take a poll right now. Jojo the Pianist. Hi again. Happy to see the dev continues. One question. Nice to see you, by the way. Thank you for joining. How many persons are you working on the game? How many people are working on the game? Basically just me. I've got some people helping with art. Otherwise, I'm doing this all myself. And I'm taking a lot of scripting tips from people like Shadon here, who knows the language a little better than I do, and Jeremiah, who Gumby, aka Gumby, who helped a lot with the parser at one point. But otherwise, I'm doing it all myself, which is why it's taken so long. Would it not be possible to make those parameters as properties of the corresponding room script? Kind of similar to what we saw with the cartridge script in SQ1 VGA. Can you expand on that? Make those parameters as properties. Which parameters? The room conditions? As part of the script. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so this actual, I'm using the region script right now. This room script can have properties that the region script will reference, and then it won't need to hard code all the values. Okay. That'll take some doing. Okay. Think about this. Dealing with adding properties to a room script too is something I'm not used to. Really rad SQH featured your video. That's super interesting to watch. Me too. I'm glad he showcased that. He asked me to do it for the first Chaos Brigade stream, but I couldn't get it ready in time, so I did it for the second one instead. But yeah, I'm glad I got kind of a bit of a response there. Trolls is awesome. You might train people who help you in the future complete this. I know I learn something new each time I tune in. Wow, that's great. I mean, I feel like I do too, so. The region script can reference values in a room script's properties. I think so. Have you got picture 58 done yet? Let's close this for a second. What is picture 58? Is that the mountaintop? No, 56, 7. 58 is the cave. I haven't even touched the cave yet. I started on 56. The gamer from Texas, welcome, sir or ma'am. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so 56 resources, pictures. This is the one I was sort of working on Tuesday. I don't like my rocks. It just doesn't come out right. It just looks like a bunch of... I try to put too much detail, I think. And like, there's some screens that I'm just so totally unhappy with. Like this. This doesn't look like rock. I tried to make it look like shades of rock and stuff, but I'm not sure what... Not an artist. There are definitely people better at that than me. When the rocks aren't very big or detailed, I can get away with it like this. Like this, I don't like this dithered pattern right here. But this looks okay, like these small rocks. There's another one. Just a bunch of squiggly lines. Well, this part's okay, I guess. This part I don't like. It just looks like a dithered fill pattern and a bunch of lines. So I need a better way of doing stuff like this. I've stole the water reflection. If I go back to this one, the water reflection colors from straight from King's Quest 1. Before this, I just had solid blue with some blue lines, light blue lines on it, just like the ocean, really, just like this. But after seeing how King's Quest 1 did it, I got a copy of that, and now it looks so much better. Since it's a rather standalone location that doesn't need to fit into the other ones, I could try my hand at that one. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do 58. Sure thing. Cave, yeah. I was trying to think about, because this is where you find the second key, right? I was trying to think about a way that this would, to make it a little more interesting, besides the key just lying there. I'm not going to change the story or anything. It's going to be an empty cave. The key's going to be in here. I don't even think I'll make it a puzzle, but rather than just lying on the rock, I don't know. Unless, okay, let's put it this way. If you could think of something interesting to do with the key, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, just copy it as normal. Just make a cave. I can even add views later to yeah, you know what? Just make it like this. I mean, however you want to make it. You don't have to trace this. You can do it from scratch if you want. Yeah. It doesn't actually pertain because I was trying to figure out, well, if the key's just lying there, would it be more interesting? Because for the actual magic doors across the bridge here, which would be magic doors. So it's on the screen. It's just a couple modern day door frames just standing there. I'm going to make it something a little more interesting. It's still going to be a door in the middle of nowhere, so it's not going to be against the stone mountain or anything. It's going to be right out here with nothing behind it. But make it this great big ornate thing, like magic looking ancient thing with like pillars maybe, and I'm gonna think of something special for that. It's not just going to be some modern looking doors. You just download the bitmap and then use Paint to play with it. Download what bitmap? For the backgrounds? I don't use Paint at all, no. For Steven's screens, he created them from scratch in ProMotion, the program's called, which is something Mark Ferrari uses, actually. ProMotion NG. And that's all bitmap based, but you can work in layers, and you can even do palette cycling stuff, and it's like Deluxe Paint for modern Windows, basically. Deluxe Paint was an old Amiga program, also for DOS, back in the 90s, that all these old adventure games used for graphics, except for Sierra. They used their own in-house tools for the picture creation bit. But every other screen I've made is all vectors. So this one I drew with vector commands. And same thing with the beach. And I showed this on the SQH stream, the way this one's drawn. This one went through a whole bunch of recreations, which you can see, like, this isn't really good practice when you're making a vector screen like this, to do something, to draw something, and then cover it up like you would in a bitmap. So I drew these lines here, and then, let me get to it. So I drew these. This, I guess you can't do any other way, to hide the edge of the grass. It just adds a whole lot of extra commands. And then the same thing with these lines on the shading and the grass. To Yeah, but I made it bigger. See, this is very bad practice. So I made it bigger with pen tool, and then I erased some, and then I drew over it with lines. So inefficient, so file size space consuming. It normally, if you want to draw over something to hide it, you should just go back and delete that original draw command instead, because it's way more efficient. And like there, I did the same thing over there. It ends up looking nice, but there's just a whole lot of superfluous draw commands in there that just don't need to be there. And I've tried to be smarter about it with later screens. So this is a screen I did later on. See, there's like no overdraw happening. First thing you draw is the foreground objects, the things that are in front of everything, because there's no layers in this. Then you do some things that towards the back, and then you get further back until you do the back of the whole background. But I'm not doing any drawing over anything now. That includes priorities too. So the walk behind stuff is all drawn at the same time as the actual visual part. Just more economical. Because every single draw command is stored, and it's done that way to save file space instead of having a bitmap. But if you have too many, it can be bigger than a bitmap. Anyway. Wonder why they made the doors so unimpressive. Product of the time. King's Quest 2 definitely looks a lot nicer than King's Quest 1, but you know, they're still growing. King's Quest 3, by the time they got to King's Quest 3, I think they really picked up their game, graphics-wise. And didn't take so many, you know, easy shortcuts for things. Like, why don't we have a magic door? Like, it was just literally, I think, they were sitting, Roberta was sitting there, why don't I just have a magic door? And she just drew a door, you know, or somebody drew a door, and it didn't need to be, you know, era appropriate, really. Like, Grandma's Cottage is a stinking modern day house with a mailbox, which is just a joke, right? And I took that and ran with it with, what room is that, 3? I redesigned this entire screen, but it still looks like a modern cottage, you know, a modern little house. Have you seen The Return of the Guardian of Forever and Star Trek Discovery? I don't watch Star Trek Discovery. I love what they did with that doorway. I never saw it, no. And I don't intend to. That's not Star Trek to me. But that's neat. It's pretty neat if they have a cool design of it. If we still use 5-inch floppies, I'd be concerned about space. Yeah. And well, the idea is with this, it will be possible to play this on your old 286 or Tandy 1000. As far back as, and I'm gonna, you know, it will support Hercules Monochrome, CGA, obviously EGA, PC speaker sound. You saw that on the videos. Those of you who watch Space Quest Historians stream. As many devices as I can support, I'm going to support. How big is your biggest screen, and is there a cap? There is a cap. There is one. In fact, if you use the import bitmap to pick feature, it'll warn you if the draw commands are too complicated and too numerous, and says, this is actually too big for an SCI picture resource. Do you want to continue? And it'll let you continue. It'll save the commands, but it'll be too big for SCI to use. So far I haven't run into that. But if you convert, it doesn't make any priority drawings, remember. So you could be really close to the line and be able to make it, but then when you draw priority commands and control commands into the screen, you're going to hit the limit. I just can't remember what the limit is. So my biggest screen is from the Space Quest demo, this one. This is almost 60 bytes, 60,000 bytes. I'm not sure why this screen in particular. Maybe it's all the dithering patterns, because it's converted. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Every little dithering pattern, and they're all different too. Because the EGA versions of their SCI-1 games aren't vector drawn, they're bitmaps. So they have a converter tool to convert it from 256 colors down to 16. And the dithering patterns are quite odd. Like, they're not checkerboard uniform. They're like, if you look at the close-up over here, see how they're like doubled lines, and then they offset, and that's the biggest one. I probably won't get one that big, and then this one is the next biggest one. This is what the original screen looks like, by the way, from the actual Sierra EGA version, and I changed the palette to look like this, which is, that was a little more interesting. I'm not going to keep it, I'm going to remake it, but anyway. The next one is this, which the background's from King's Quest IV, but this shot of Graham is from King's Quest V, so it uses the import tool. So basically the biggest ones are the bitmap imported ones. So I get the swamp screens. The 2 swamp screens are the next biggest ones. Then the Space Quest demos again. And then we get to the AGI bitmap imported. So my biggest actual drawn image that I've made is... they're all smaller than the converted ones. Every single one. And we're down to the 20 kilobytes now, so... Space Quest, that's another converted. The bridge. This is my biggest screen drawn with vector commands. It's almost 18K. And it's probably because of all these squiggly lines on the rock face. Drawing in all those lines. That's the biggest one I have. So it really makes a difference. King's Quest 3 is very impressive artwork. Yes, it is. You don't want to see the entire episode. The video has some clips. Oh, cool. I'll check that out. Let me just see it right now. Okay, it looks like a tunnel. And there's a door sitting. I've never seen the episode, so. No. Okay, yeah. My first monitor was monochrome. Yeah, I had, I mean, our first computer I remember having is, well, I still have a Tandy Color Computer 3, but the first one I remember having that's DOS compatible was our Tandy 1000, which had a composite video out, and my dad actually recorded footage of him playing King's Quest V EGA version on this Tandy 1000. I still have it on VHS. I said, can we record King's Quest? And he's like, okay. It was at the very end of a tape, so there's like 20 seconds worth of footage, but I freaked out that I could record a computer game on a VHS tape. After that, we had a 486. We jumped right up to 486, DX4 100, and then he got Pentium 266 MMX, and by that time, he had for work, he had an old 286 with a Hercules monochrome monitor and video card. And, you know, with one of those big red power switches on the side and the back. And with a big honking 40 megabyte brick of a hard drive, which I still have. The computer's gone, but I still have the hard drive. I still have the Hercules card. I don't have the Hercules monochrome monitor anymore, sadly. But he passed that on to me, and that was my official first computer. And I used to... That's how I did a lot of experimenting with SCI games and finding the Hercules monochrome drivers, the different ones that Sierra made, because there's more than one, and getting games like Space Quest 4 to work in Hercules, up until the point where the screen scrolls, because it won't scroll anymore. My biggest is 17 kilobytes. When I looked at the classic Sierra ones, they cap out at around 13. Yeah, they were pretty conservative. But yeah, they can be pretty big. I guess they're just concerned about file space at that point. And they weren't even dream of hitting the... It's got to be like 65K is the limit. Like the 65535, you know, multiple of 8 binary limit of most things. Funnily enough, the bitmap is smaller in this case. 320x200 EGA bitmap is 32 kilobytes. Oh, that's true. If only SCI 0 could support bitmaps. SCI 1 can. But we don't... Well, with fan-made tools, we don't have a way to make SCI 1 EGA palette images. But we do with Sierra's tools that leaked. So we have some leaked Sierra tools. Maybe I'll go through them a little later if everyone's interested. I got some of their original tools to work, and even a way to convert with their algorithms 256 colored screens down to 16 colors. And they've got a few parameters you can make for like saturation and intensity and brightness, and it works pretty well. I'm just pretty impressed. I was surprised Colonel's request tended on the smaller size. Really? That is surprising. Just checking out the tweet there you posted. So interesting. Yeah, it's definitely if you drew conservatively, again, the draw command feature was the vector draw command method was more economic file size wise than a bitmap would be, although they abandoned that for SCI 1. I wonder which one is the biggest of all the Sierra games. You'd have to export them all though and check them out, or at least open them all. The biggest one in King's Quest 1 is 12. Sorry, my phone's ringing. Give me a second, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Angry. Card ready to be picked up. Glad to get the screen from see more. Yeah, okay. Yeah, hope to see you again. Thanks for dropping by. You're probably gone now, but if you want to watch the VOD back up on YouTube, then you'll see it. Know that I acknowledged you. So, goodbye. Okay. Yeah, biggest one is this screen. Which makes sense. There are a lot of curvy lines, a lot of stalagmites, stalactites. Oh, and the priorities, of course, and control colors, as you can see here. Anyway. So, we're going back to the issue of the swamp. Let's get back on track here. Close. Yeah, so room script and properties. How do we set that? Okay, so the room properties, we can set them right here, eh? How would we reference it from the swamp region script? Like, how do we reference the room script? Yeah. Ryan was asking that earlier. The region script can reference values in a room script's properties. Yeah, I assume according to him it's possible, but I'm not sure what to call it, what to make the call called, named, whatever. Do I do it? It'd be G room, would it? Yeah, G room, which is the global variable for the current room. Yeah, so G regions add to front, assign G room, script ID room number. So it sets the G room as the current number you're in. So even if you're in a region, G room will still point to the actual room. So it should be just G room. So swamp region. Okay. Okay, so if we use properties, how do we go about this? Go down to Graham Drown here. Here we go. So if it's room number 10, shall we have the rectangle values be can we have array properties? I gotta look up the documentation. We're getting into deep stuff now. Arrays. Properties. I'm pretty sure a property can be an array. Let's just look for. Or rect can be a variable too. Okay, so I'll just make a rect property of the room. Excuse me. Yeah. A rect is an array of 4 values, which define rectangle points. Coordinates. So I can make the room script room 10. Okay, so properties right here. Oh wait. No. It's a type of variable, but it's not a property. Is it? Unless I feed it more than one. I gotta see where there's a property that's assigned a bunch of values. Can there be an array as a property? So there's lots of variable types. Okay. Property. Whoops. My microphone, I'm listening to the raw input from my microphone, and it's really picking up the keyboard sounds. You can't hear it at all, can you? Or at least very little. So impressed with this. Mad COVID here right now. I think I'm like 8, almost 9 months deep into not getting a haircut, and I gotta get to the barber shop. Property. Properties. Here we go. You can make a property an address to a variable, which is interesting. Properties are not limited to just integers. They can be declared with strings, seds, and local variable addresses, so not an array. Of course, a string is an array, but in SCI it's handled differently as its own thing, and not like an array of characters like in C. In script version 2 of the SCI syntax, constant expressions are also permitted. These are evaluated at compile time and can consist of arithmetic operators and constant values. Okay. Alright, so properties. No, yeah. I've seen other properties with, okay, so death. I've seen other properties with, in objects with boundary coordinate variables, like one each, so you can't have a whole rect, but you can have each of the points as a property. So death, rect. How would I define that? Yeah, so death, rect, op, right? And then right. Let's just do this. Bottom left. Okay, so in room 10, this rectangle would be, top would be 95, 267, right? 160. And 117. Whoops. Those are the rectangle coordinates, and I just copy those. Instances cannot define new properties. Oh, dang. Okay. So I'm on the wrong track there. I'm not sure if the array can be used, but you could always just have full coordinates for rectangle. Yeah. Properties are basically just variables belonging to a class or instance. Okay, but this is an instance of room, of RM, which means I can't create new properties. Which sucks. Strings, sebs, and local variable addresses. So an instance can't create new properties. Is there any other way I can do this? Could I set these as variables? Or not? That'd be more like local. Like this. And then I should be able to use these local variables in the swamp region, right? Because it's a... Can you access the groom's local variables by referencing groom? How would you do that? You can create the properties themselves in the room class in RMs. Yeah, I could. Just leave them unfilled when not needed. That's true. I guess that's the most elegant way to do it. Of course, local variables... Yeah, the public here. This is what's sending this object out to the public to be used. RM010 is the 0 or first in computer talk public object in this script, which is the room script right here. But it's an instance. I'm just wondering if I can do the local variables thing, which would be easier on memory. And now it doesn't really matter, but... So where is RM? Class RM of region. So right here is where I'd add it. Let's have them all be 0. Death wrecked. Maybe I should call this swamp wrecked. I don't like the idea of there being so many extra variables in an object that doesn't mostly need them, because we only have, excuse me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11 screens in the whole game that have swamp water in them. But I'm just wondering which is the better way. And then you can put these There. And that'll expected equals. Oh yeah. I'm doing both. I just want to. So this way, in this method, I can reference it in groom, but now these are in every single room object instance. If I can use the local variables, just how would I reference that? I know there's a way to reference the local variables of a room. So in game, there's no local. Okay. Okay, so text description, button higher, button lower, button OK, button normal, button cancel. This is for the gauge screen, but let's just search for text or button cancel. They're all using gauge. Okay, so maybe there's not a way to access because it is a local variable. Alright, then let's just do the game object method then. And we'll get rid of this. So for here we do go all the way down. Where is it? Okay. In rect room. Okay, surround these in parentheses. ns swap rect op or question mark, right? Day 4. Welcome, sir. There are only 8 bytes in total, though, just as much as drawing 2 lines in a picture resource. Okay. Ahoy, mateys. Room swap rect top, including the question mark for doing. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Are these look at click BBS? What? BBs? I don't know what you mean by that. Congrats on your artwork shocking the SQH crew. Yes. Yeah, I did a little video showcasing KQ2SCI for trolls, Space Quest historians. He's doing a new thing every Monday morning called Chaos Brigade, and since it's so early, he lives in Denmark. It's so early in the morning for me when it starts that he asked me to showcase King's Quest 2, but just to make a video doing it instead of actually doing it in person on stream. And so I put together a little video, and he played it, and yeah, everyone was. I showed off your artwork, and everyone was flipping out. It was. You should watch it. So I'm just trying to program in. I don't know if you've seen this, but we have now. Wait, no, don't run the game. This should be left. Left. Left, top. Right. Bottom. Right? Yes. We've got death animations going. I don't know if you've seen this yet. And he dies. Feels that I couldn't have gotten the Swamp 1 screen touch up in time. Ah, that's okay. Yeah, so it be working. Can we delete from here? We can't. We can't delete a save game in SCI until it's full, unless you just go to the files and delete them manually, which kind of sucks. So these work now. Great. Let's do this. So it makes more sense. Okay. Or do we need to? I don't need to. Just go like that. Maybe combine it like that. Okay, fine. Whatever. Sure. If he's in rect, and then we get the rooms, swamp, death, rectangle, boundaries, we also need to handle which sections of the screen are going to be, because it's still going to be different. Okay, so we're going to add another value, another property. We're going to say NS swamp position, which is going to mark what area on the screen the swamp exists in. On the right, on the top, on the bottom. I think that's the only other way we're going to be able to do this easily, to handle the different directions the swamp can be in, and the different directions Eagle will fall into the swamp. So swamp position, 0. Do we have defines for left, right, up, and down, I wonder? No, we don't. Not there, anyway. So, okay, rects. RT, top, left, bottom, right. 0, 1, 2, 3. That's specifically for rects. Align? No, left, right, center. That's not going to work. Okay, we have directions. We can use these. These are just values. We can use them for whatever we want. So up, up, right. That's exactly what I need, actually, because sometimes the swamp is only on the right, sometimes it's only on the bottom right. So this is perfect. We just won't use center, which is 0. We'll use these. It's meant for directions and animation probably and stuff, but that's fine. We'll use it. Otherwise I'd use edge, but I like this up right, down right, the corner, the 8 yeah, the 8 directions as opposed to 4. Okay, we'll use those. So up, up, okay, blah, blah, blah. Swamp position, just put it 0, right? And then when we go here, swamp position is down right. Because it's at the bottom right of the screen. So we have the standard danger area, which will react the same way every time. And then the edges of the screen, which will be different, either going straight down or straight across instead of diagonally falling. I just want to check out. So if we go down here, it'll die. He'll die. We save another. Yeah. Okay. If we go all the way down here, he just falls straight across and into the swamp instead of going down. Yeah, that's a pretty narrow little gap there. I kind of like that you can't go this way. If someone tries, That seems pretty Sierra to me. And you have to go around the tree. And this is a danger zone. You should. Okay, that's kind of weird there, actually. Hey, the music's still playing. That music shouldn't be playing. Fascinating. I saved the game before the music finished fading out. I'm gonna have to just kill the music when you skip the title scene then, instead of fading it out. Okay. I might have to fix that because he was kind of drowning inside the tree there. You said, Shadon, that you were thinking about a way to, you're thinking about a way to have it detect where the closest brown control color was. Did you ever conceptualize a way for that to happen? Otherwise, I might have to make a specific case for this spot right here with the tree, because this big tree is in the way, and he keeps. So if I fall down, okay, no, or just set the control boundaries, and he falls. He should go a little lower there, though. It's hard to make a one-size-fits-all set of coordinates and directions for things. But if he's all the way over here, which is too far to fall right and down, he just falls straight down. But not far enough. This is why I kind of want code to check, to keep animating until he hits the brown. There's got to be a way to do that in the do it method, right? We can do that in the do it method. If on control, and keep checking. As long as okay, so there's a local variable called drowning. Drowning equals false, right? If not drowning, assign drowning true, swamp region script. This is in the do it method. So if he's not drowning and he's on control silver, assign drowning true. And then we can check down here. If we'll do equals g-ego on control ctl brown. But just we have to. It's okay. We can set the change state method case to keep checking a certain variable. So like hit swamp, false. No, if he hits silver... No, this is wrong. No. If drowning... So we check if he's drowning, if he's dying of falling into a swamp, if that process has started. That's what that variable is for. Farewell! Welcome! I missed you. I'm really intensely working and I missed you entering. You have touched at the part of this part here to assist programming. Oh, that's fine. I work around it. What? There's stuff you wanted to fix, though. I forget what they were. What did you want to fix about that screen again? Just how steep it is? Because I can work with it. I like it. But if you want to fix something, go ahead. It's your picture, man. Make it shine the way you want. This is intense. Like, have the center tree root just block that walk area entirely. Yeah, and I kind of did, but I just got to change the boundary so that he doesn't. Yeah, I'll figure it out. It would involve not using the normal motion to a specific point, but moving in a given direction, and then I can take checking whether he's entirely in brown. Yeah, that's what I was going to do. That's what I just light bulbed. We can def add more walkable area on top right to facilitate actually walking to the next screen. Yeah. Or we could keep it a death trap. That's fine. But up to you. Do you have a slip and slide sound effect ready for this? Not yet. I wonder if I need one. But, yeah. Let me catch up here. Time do you stream, I thought. This is indeed the way I would propose. By the way, everyone follow Feral the Feral if you haven't already. Of course, I'm sure you have by this point. Everyone on YouTube, go to Twitch and follow Feral the Feral. And Deavor, by the way, he's got a Twitch channel too. It's fascinating to see all the ways arbitrary art decisions on the screen have made Brandon's life harder. It's not harder. I see, these are objects I have to overcome anyway, right? I have to be able to learn to think as a programmer, amateur as I am, to work my way out of these issues. So I welcome them. I welcome these issues. I don't consider them issues. I consider them challenges and opportunities. I haven't been streaming very regularly lately, but usually late afternoon, sometime. We'd love to have you sometime. Absolutely. Ain't no stream like a feral stream. Amen. And I mean that in the best way. We all do. I'm more thinking like unifying the direction and length of slopes. Okay, yeah, go ahead, man. Bear on Death Trap. I mean more just making life easier for not sinking into the tree or whatever. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, you're welcome. That makes sense. Think as a programmer. Yeah. So, if drowning, let me just get my head back into this. Did you see the death yet, Feral? I'm gonna play again just because it's so fun. I love it. And he's gone. I am really apprehensive about making animations, so I copied and pasted Hodgepodge and Frankenstein pieces of animation from King's Quest 1, kind of edited my own a little bit to get that to happen. But I think it kind of came out okay. Does that look kind of Sierra-ish? Death hype, yes. We need a... Maybe I need to make a death hype emote where Graham is drowning to complement the fiddle playing one. Death hype. That's the best part of a Sierra game after all. I think I can only have one emote right now. I need like, I don't know, Twitch won't give me more until I reach some certain achievement level. I will make one. If I can. Can I make one? Animation looks fire. Thank you. Well, that means a lot. Since I'm no artist and no animator, it's good to hear that coming from an actual artist. Let me just check out Twitch for a second. Move this over here. Create a dashboard. Where do you go in Twitch to set? Animation is so different than static art, it's crazy. It really is. Deaths are great. I'm making a very convoluted way to record them as a collectible. Oh, cool. That's awesome. Like, Sierra should have thought of that. You get BTTV emotes going on your channel, you can add it whenever, and it can be animated. Awesome. Channel? Nope, it's not here. Content? Video? No. Collections? No. Streaming tools? No. Extensions? I can't remember where I even added the emote before. Community? No. My extensions? No. Channel analytics? No. Stream summary. Achievements. It's not in achievements. Roles manager. No activity. No followers lists. I can't find it. Let me see where it is. Oh, thank you for checking that out. You didn't have to do that. I'm off to get groceries. Okay, Shadon, thanks a lot. Guys, get to eat. Absolutely. Back in a few if you're still on then. Yeah, I'll probably be on for a little while longer. Happy grocery hunting. Viewer rewards. Viewer rewards. I totally missed that. It's right there in between everything else I listed in a row. Emotes. Okay. Yeah, I have one standard emote. I can't add any more. I can add a tier 2, but that's like extra stuff people need to do to get it, right? Oh, I need 15 subscriber points to get to unlock an emote slot. That's what it is. Yeah, I'm still a Twitch youngin'. But that is my next goal, is to have Graham drowning, and I'll have it animated, absolutely. I wish it was as easy as a blood altar, since restoring resets all variables. Making it remember deaths requires out-of-the-box thinking. Oh yeah, that's true. I remember an AGS fan game, well, an amateur, like just a game, not a fan game, but an AGS game someone made. About two robots, one guy and his sidekick, and they go to a planet, and actually, I think Space Quest Incinerations did this too. It records every time you die. It handles it in a specific way that it tracks all your deaths that you've ever made. But this game did the same thing. You go to a place on a planet and you die, and then start over, and then you go through the same motions and get to the same place. And then the character says, "This seems familiar." Like it remembered the death, and it was part of the actual story, the death. And starting over was, I can't remember what the game was called. I cannot remember for the life of me. And I thought it was pretty neat that a death would be part of the linear progression of a game, and it was meant to happen, and it would reference it. I do something like that. I do write it to an external file. Yeah, that's probably the only way you can do it. I haven't gone near handling external files. Can you make the special secret save file in the current save game directory? Special secret. Yeah, so I'll have to wait on that, but I'll have it ready when I'm allowed to use it. Standard emotes, 1 of 1. I've got them all filled. So, eventually, I'll get it. I need to make that one animated. Can they all be animated now, or is it only certain ones? I know you just answered that, didn't you? Once you get BTTV emotes. How do you get BTTV emotes? I don't know if this is going to be flagged or not, this music. Whatever, let's play it. Twitch.tv. Oh yeah, I think I had a message from Twitch a while back that said, "We're rolling out animated emotes, and we'll let you know when you get yours," or something like that. I need to make an animated Graham playing the fiddle. Only partners can have animated Twitch emote. Oh, okay, but anyone can have animated BTTV emotes. Just look up Better Twitch TV. It's an extension. Oh, okay, I'll do that. After the stream, but I'm just going to bring it up here, so... There we go. I'll have that for later. Now, if drowned, back to this. Haven't tested enough to know for sure, but I think it works with multiple playthroughs under save files. That's great. Thank you, Farrell, for that recommendation. I will definitely do that. we must have an animated Graham playing a fiddle and an animated drowning Graham. I think tying it to a directory though might be ideal because it could be earned multiple times on the same computer. Ah yes, you know, for the 5 people in 2021 that still replay games. Something you don't really think about, is it? If you make it and set it to shared, I'll add it to my BTD even notes to show it off. I'll do it, and I'll let you know. I want to get this working right. So, if drowning, let's get my head back. I love this music, but I can't think with it right now. Get something here. Portal. Oh, Gabriel Knight. Remixed by Bart Klepka. Sounds good. So what we're trying to do here is, if he's drowning, we need to check if he's close to the color yet. If drowning, if G-Ego on control CTL brown hit swamp true. So I'm going to make this an and. If drowning and not hit swamp. There we go. I wanted to check to make sure we are drowning and we have not yet hit the swamp, and if it because we don't want this to keep checking over and over again and setting this variable infinitely. So if we're drowning and we haven't hit the swamp yet, we'll check if ego is on, like totally, not just and. If I do and, that means part of him will be on. No, we need all of him to be on. I want to be right in that swamp. If G-Ego on controlled brown, assign hit swamp true. So then we go back down to the death. Switch to blah blah blah. So right here, if it's room 10, G-Ego inrect, blah blah blah, is it true? Moving towards it. Now this is what we need to change. We might not even have to do it per room if we've got these variables. So if we do this, this is why I'm nearly always playing chill stuff. Yeah. Tiny Stuff stream will have the same ambient piece playing for an hour and not notice it. If drowning and not in water, then you've got problems, my friend. Yes. You might be a programmer, if. Never thought I'd hear Gabriel Knight EDM. Bart Klepka has some pretty neat remixes. These are really old too. He's got At Doom's Gate, Cerberon from Quake, Crete from Fate of Atlantis. I really like that one. Dark Forces, Enemy, I don't know what that is. Gotham from Duke Nukem 3D, Sam & Max, Goblins from Goblins 3, and Waterworld also from Duke Nukem 3D. In fact, let's just play them all in a row because they're so neat. Turn off shuffle. I think he made them all with mods too. I could be wrong. Like mod tracking. So we don't need to switch room number. We need to switch. We just switch G room. Whoops. swamp position. Oh, and this is a case, right? So, if case down right. There we go. And we'll have a case. This is the position of the swamp. Is it on the bottom right? Is it on the top right? We'll do each of those cases. Right now, we'll just do this one, though. Whoops. Imagine these animated. Oh, I don't have decaf emotes anymore. Shoot. I was gonna do fiddle Gabriel, fiddle Gabriel, fiddle. All right, Crete from Fate of Atlantis. This is kind of like a Enigma type of track. Except I really would picture the Enigma's Sadness track with that drum loop in the background, and I think that's what he was going for. But because he is mod tracking, you can't do swing 16th notes, so he just does straight on the drum loop he uses. But I think that's the vibe he was going for. It would sound really great with that drum loop, though. Yeah. He's got the same kick pattern and everything. It's just the hi-hat is straight 16th instead of swing. I really like his stuff. No idea what I would make as an emote. There you go, Farrell. Thank you for that. Okay. We're going back to this. If down right. Okay, else. We're going to move... instead of setting... Now this is the problem, though. We can do it to keep checking, but... A change state will only go through a case once and then stop. So by the next game cycle, if it hasn't been triggered yet, it's not going to continue moving. Let me just think about this. I could move them 1 pixel at a time, but then I wouldn't be using move to. And that's the thing. I'm using move to the move to set motion flag to set an absolute destination, and once he reaches that destination, trigger the next case and move on. If I don't use this, if I do it the way I'm doing to wait and see until he lands on the ground control color, I gotta find some other way to trigger this case, which I suppose we could do, but just this handling won't be here at all. So it would not be moved to. It would all it would do is If drowning and not hit swamp. So I mean, as soon as the death starts, drowning is set. This is tricky. Just gotta figure out the proper order of operations. I could have the state just end here. Maybe I don't even need the hit swamp variable. Maybe I could just have it Q. Oh no, I will need it. But hit swamp true, and then what is the name of that state again? Gram drowning. Gram drowning. Change state 1. I don't need parentheses. I'm thinking in Studio Script again. There we go. Gram drowning, change state 1. So only do this once. It'll check if we're drowning. If we are, it'll check if we haven't hit the swamp yet. If we have hit the swamp, if we've not hit the swamp yet, it checks if we are on control color brown. And if we are, it assigns hit swamp true, and so none of this will ever be done again. But it also changes the change state from gram drowning to change state 1. In the meantime, while that's happening, if we're drowning and not hit the swamp yet, we have to... Oh, this is Dark Forces. The song that's playing right now. Gram drowning. Dark Forces has a great soundtrack, really. Gram drowning. Keep getting off track. I derail easily my train of thought. So we're checking. Okay, no, gram drown. We're going to continue. No, we can't do it from here. Because we're setting different cases. They'll be going in different directions depending on the different cases, which are all handled in the dying script, not in the do it method. Maybe that's okay. Maybe we should change the way we're doing this a little bit. Maybe we should do the checks for which direction the swamp is positioned in the do it method. So we go if swamp position is equal to down right. No, we need to switch it. Switch swamp position. Right. This is the region script, yes. I gotta start commenting here. Okay. So this is the bubbles popping. Handles, grams, fallen into swamp. Yeah. X if counting started, handles, direction, ram falls in. Alright. If the swamp is on the down right, Graham Drown will move over and down. So we'll set his I'm gonna have to check also that he hasn't hit the brown, aren't I? No. It'll do that automatically. Okay. Down right. Graham Drown, we're gonna set the X2 plus Graham Drown no, position. That's what we should do. Position, Graham Drown plus 1. X plus 1. So this will totally hijack the animation code. I'm bypassing it entirely, so really Graham Drown doesn't even need to be an actor anymore. Or he might because of the ignore control colors thing. Sadly, I gotta dash early. Thanks for the stream. See you all around next time. Thank you, Audio Eric. Have a good one, my friend. Graham Drown position. So we're setting the position. Okay, we should set this at the same speed that we would. See, that's the problem with this. Can we set a direction utilizing the set step size, like a vector direction, and have them continue on that direction until something happens? Do we have to set it as coordinates? It'd be so nice if we could. Because this way, if we do plus 1x, plus 1y every game cycle, he's going to go on a perfect diagonal. And I kind of want him to go on a bit of a slant. Not a straight diagonal. That's the problem with handling it this way. Ah, enemy. It's from Wolfenstein. That's what it's from. Good morning, Emma. Critical Buzz, nice to see you. Lurking while the man is asking me to work. Real life coder here. Oh. Well, good luck. Thanks for lurking. Might be nice, but I don't want the talking there. It's distracting me. Let's just go to Gotham. Gotham's a good track. Okay, I don't think I should handle this and do it. Oh yeah, I remember this. That's a nice drum loop. Wish I could help. This is beyond my comprehension level. That's okay. I'm trying to grasp it myself. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. Like in regular programming, you can get vector directions assigned to variables. I'm just not sure if this game uses that. Like this whole engine interpreter thing. I think I might be a bit loud. If the music volume's ever too loud, let me know. Oh, I'm peaking. I'm still peaking. Just fix my volume here. What's the problem exactly? I've been focusing on something else. So, I'm trying to code in a makeshift custom way of... That's the thing, see, I don't know if SCI already has a way of doing this automatically or not, but I'm trying to code in a way... I'm writing a one-size-fits-all block of code, because this is a region script, which means this one script will be loaded on every swamp screen. So it has to have cases for each screen depending on which direction he falls in and whatnot. So I've got to handle once he hits the danger zone in a swamp, the game takes over and you can't control it, and you've basically started to die. Started the process of dying, there's no way back. It first animates, it checks to see if he's inside the swamp rectangle danger zone, which for this screen I have made as from about here to here. And in this rectangle, so basically all along this shoreline here, he will fall diagonally into the swamp. Not a straight diagonal, but a kind of slanted diagonal. If he's outside the rectangular up here, he just falls straight down, and if he's down here, he falls straight across, because we don't want him falling off the screen. But it's different. It's different lengths depending on where he's standing on the shoreline, which is fine. I don't want them uniform. It would look way less natural if the distance was uniform all the way across. I'm trying to make it so that the game checks to see if he's hit the brown color yet. And if he has, then you can splash. So once he hits silver, he stumbles, he slides, and then he keeps moving until he hits the brown, and then splashes and falls in and starts drowning. That's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do that. So the plan here is getting the angle of the slope, basically. And then figuring out how to implement that. What Graham needs is a bounding box for his sliding animation. Well, he has one. I mean, every view has a bounding box, which is the size of the bounding box. But, which is the size of the view. So, this is his bounding box. Where's the sliding animation? This cell right here. That's the bounding box, the size of him. That part is fine. He has an origin point, which is right here. When that part hits the water, hits the brown color, that's when he will splash and drown. If I handle this in the do it method, then I'd need to get the slope and everything, and the vector or whatever. If I handle this in change state, I need exact coordinates, and then trigger the next state. There's no way to... Let's look at the documentation for a second. Yeah, like, that's what I'm trying to do. What I'm operating on is the origin point, which is, it doesn't matter what I'm using, bounding box or origin point, the view, whatever. I still need a way of detecting, of moving him to the brown color, and then detect. I can detect when he hits the brown color easy enough, but moving him to the brown color and then triggering something once that happens is the hard part. It's the part I'm trying to wrap my brain around. It doesn't matter what I use. Yeah. Let me look at the documentation one more time. So, let's see if move to can have some special parameters or something. Moves an actor to a destination, then stops. So the actor needs to maneuver around rim obstacles, polypaths are used to extent. Oh, that's only part of SCI 1 though. Let's look at the actor class. Motion Q. Set in motion. Okay. Assigns a mover object to the actor. The mover is initialized with the actor and any send parameters that have been provided. Parameters are the mover, class name, for instance, that inherits from motion. Let me check. Let's see where move to is defined. There's got to be more. Okay, move to of motion. Motion Q. move to the only one? There's got to be more mover classes. Any parameters that should be forwarded to the mover's init method, which is like triggering self. Set motion move to. I know there's more than one, I just can't remember what they are. I'm just wondering if any of the other ones might be able to help. Okay, D path. That's the other one. That won't help though. There's move to, which just moves to one coordinate, ends. D path is the direction path, which you can do a collection of coordinates to go from here to here to here to here to here, and once you get to the end, then trigger. That doesn't help me either. Oh, and there's also wander, which we don't want. Can we just move in a direction? Where does wander come from? Use wander. Wander is a script. Wander of motion. Okay, let's look for everything of motion. Move to, D path, follow, jump, and wander. Those are the different movers. Follow won't work. Or will it? No, it won't. D path, jump. What does jump do? It means a motion class to allow actors to jump. That's not gonna work either. This is tricky. Back. Well, welcome. Store an x and y integer value that represents its velocity if vectors don't exist. Yeah. I'd be surprised if the actor doesn't have a function for this already, though. I know, it feels like it should be. Trying to store a rail path would probably be appropriate. Every time to. Yeah, what I'm trying to do is. I'm still running into problems with this. I just want a direction to move in and keep going until you hit the control color. I was going to do this in the do it method and just increase the x and y values by 1 every game cycle, but then won't move in a perfect diagonal. And I don't want a perfect diagonal. I guess it doesn't matter. If I do it method, it seems pretty hacky to do this, to recreate the motion class stuff in the do it method every game cycle, which it just feels like it should automatically do this already. So right now I've got, so if the swamp position is on the bottom right, we must change the drowning animation's position every game cycle, and I've just increased it by 1x by 2y. But I suppose I could do like 3x by 1y, and then he would go more on a slant. Does that work? And then if GU controls CTL brown, hit swamp true, change state 1. Then we can bypass the whole move to stuff. Which means we gotta get rid of all this. No longer will this case be triggering the script with these self calls to go to the next one. The do it method is going to do that. It'll queue this script automatically once I hit the brown. So I gotta handle what happens to this. Yeah, I guess There's no sense in calculating an angle if I can't figure out the location of the nearest controlled brown color pixel. No problem. Yeah, so it gets to this point. Do we even need to test for this now anymore at all? Listen to that one. Goblins. So in the beginning of the state, the program takes control. We load the loading cursor. We hide ego. We show Graham around. We set his position. We set his loops depending on what direction Graham is facing. We initialize it. We set the animation forward continuously. Yeah, this is when he's still stumbling. This is when he slips. So he doesn't even need to happen yet. So I triggered the wrong state. It should be like state 3. Change state 3. This is stumbling, slipping, and this is falling. This is what we need to replace right here. These things are probably fine. This one's fine. You can't do this without meta information about the slope. Then I have to do that for every single swamp screen. I'm trying to handle this a little more automatically. There's got to be a way to figure out how close you are to the nearest control color pixel. I'm probably diving into SCI's innards though with this, and this wasn't stuff it was really made for. It's just because the only reason it's like this is I'm doing a one-size-fits-all code to cover every single swamp screen. If I was handling this on every single swamp screen differently, then I wouldn't be using a region at all for this. I'd be doing it on each screen, and I could set proper coordinates for each one. And I wouldn't need to go through any of this mess. I wouldn't need to calculate everything because every screen would be its own screen. But I'm doing it via region. Maybe I'm doing it the hard way. Maybe I should just do it custom for each screen. It's just I was trying to cut down on script bloat, but I'm already getting pretty big now anyway. Oh yeah. Right. Why am I not doing that? Different control colors. So I wouldn't even need to check. In that light, I wouldn't even need custom properties. I've got enough control colors to use. Let's take a look at the palette for a sec. Okay. Whoops. Control. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of these that we're just not using. So brown is the water. Silver. Okay. We don't need direction of swamp. We don't need Okay, so each one should have 1, 2, 3 colors. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, but white is taken. It might not be enough. Okay, well I could use the directional position of the swamp and then use 3 different colors to account for how he falls. So silver for down right would be the danger zone. He'll fall diagonally down on the angle I want him to within this range. If and then I'll make like right here to where I had the rectangle coordinates, I'll make this color a different color. I'll make it dark gray, and then this one light blue. And if he hits light blue, he falls horizontally straight. If he hits dark gray, he falls vertically straight. And if the swamp is in like the upper left, I'll just repurpose. I like this. This is what I'm going to do. Control colors. Distance to the nearest pixel is not the same as slope angle. No, that's what I mean. Getting the slope angle to the nearest pixel is what I meant. I worded it wrong. But yeah, that's exactly right. He might actually move behind himself to fall in that way. You could use separate control colors for each. Yeah, that's what I already read that. Yeah, there's no onus to have slipping in every swamp screen. I think this is over-engineering. I can help but feel the art should just be edited. It doesn't, I mean, art edited or not, I gotta handle different positions that he'll fall into the swamp in. Just by nature of the swamp being in this corner. And in a different corner on a different screen. But if I use control colors and get rid of these rectangles, just keep swamp position. That's it. Alright, we've heard all of Bart Klepka's songs now. Let's skip it. A little something from GoldenEye Source Archives. Alright, no more wrecked stuff. No more wrecked nonsense. Let's go back up to the do it method. So if he's down right, he'll move 3 over and 1 Y down until he hits the brown. That's fine. Maybe this should be like 5 and 2 or 3. If drowning, sliding, and not hit swamp. I need another one. Just need one more. Okay. Change state. So, he slips, he's switch swamp position down right. You don't need an if at all. Yes, we do. We need an if. If RAM, or should we do? Okay. There's many ways to go about this. We can have in the do it method. He'll be testing to see. I keep bouncing back and forth. My mind's going everywhere. We test to see if he hits the silver. Then we need to test to see if he hits gray. I just spell gray. It's EY in SCI Studio or Companion. And then we test for navy, okay, blue. and then we set different scripts based on the color, or different states of the same script, depending on the color. Or do we just do, is he on silver, gray, or blue, and then cue the script, and the script handles it all? I think that's the way I'm going to do it. To cheat, you could make an invisible actor, use the illegal bits property to allow it only on brown, then set it to the coordinates of ego, and have SCI reposition it to be on the brown, then read its coordinates as the coordinates of the nearest fully brown area. That is a hack. Wow. That's genius. Mind bouncing back and forth between multiple possibilities. That's how programming goes. Yes. That's another good way to get a coordinate for sure. And then just have move to that pixel. The only other thing I want to grab is I'm detecting this for if ego is absolutely on control colors, and absolutely on control color brown. So the nearest pixel wouldn't be deep enough into the swamp. Or would illegal bits already handle that? Like if I made a if I made a duplicate actor who uses the exact same cell as the sliding animation trying to move, and put his illegal bits on the control brown color so that he's automatically placed there, just like the bubbles we did, you showed me how to do. Will he be totally inside the brown, or will part of him be outside the brown? The illegal bits would indeed handle that as long as the fully transparent sprite of the invisible editor has the same width. Because I don't want him like drowning right at the shoreline. I want him in a little bit. But if it makes sure that the whole sprite is inside brown, yeah, the invisible actor, if it makes sure that invisible actor is all the way of the same size, it's all the way inside the brown, then, well, let's just try it. Okay, how do I repurpose this code for that now? I won't be using this at all. I don't think. I don't even need this anymore if I'm doing it that way. I don't need any of this. Do I? Let's just comment it out for now. Alright. Change state. Gram drown position. We need a new instance. We need instance fake drown of act. Is view 88 view 88, and we want loop, specifically loop. Oh, it would depend, but we want the fourth cell anyway. Let's just automatically set it to loop 2 cell 01, cell 3. Whoops. Loop 2, cell 3. Yeah, I need to reset. I need to reset my mind here. We come in, we load. GU go hide. Fake drown. Off here with the other one. We only need one. Move to... This might not care whether... what angle he's falling down. He might be falling at an unrealistic angle. Might he? I think this would have to be control ground, and it would need to have the same width as the falling sprite. Okay. As long as I do tilde, whatever that character's called. Tilde control brown. Yeah, that's because that's how the bubbles handle it, isn't it? I'm going to need everyone here's expertise at some point. This all sounds brilliant and crazy. I'm barely grasping it myself. Like, I understand the concept, I'm just executing it. There's a chance... Okay, so if he's here, the nearest... He'll fall straight down. If he's here... Fall straight in, maybe over this far, which is fine. Maybe I should do a tumble so he rolls? No. This might be fine. Even if he's right here. Yeah. Alright, let's try it and see what happens. Worst that can happen is, you know, it won't work. I don't think we need... Yeah, we need one for each case. So if Graham drown on control CTL Brown. No, we're not checking that here. Ah, okay, reset, Bren, reset. I'm just gonna get rid of this whole thing. Rid of all this, just for a second. Now, fake drown. We need to init, but hide, and position him G ego X, G ego Y, not capital X. Excuse me. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if the filter took that out or not. To be honest, I think just setting the direction manually might end up being a better option because there is no guarantee that the path between Ego's position and the nearest brown pixel is the way you want it to. That's what I was saying earlier. Might go straight through some white control lines, for instance. That's fine. I've got it ignoring white control lines. And if I draw the room correctly, like if he hits the silver here, he'll go down through the tree, the white, and down to here. If he hits this, he'll go down through. That's a problem. He falls down this way. He'll go straight down here instead of over this way. Brain's fried. I'm gonna have to come back to this later. I'm gonna really think about this and think about the best way to accomplish this. I was kind of hoping to get this nailed down today, but I don't think I'm gonna do it. And it's almost noon now. I usually go until 11, so I've gone almost an hour over. I'm gonna call it here. But at least we're making progress on how to conceptualize this problem, and that's the main thing. And next time I can come back at it fresh. Cool. I'm gonna have some real brain frying working on those iridescent waves whenever that is. Yeah, in the tower realm. I'm really anxious to see what you come up with for that. With 16 colors, no less. I don't know how I'm gonna animate it either. I suppose what I could do to animate that is we have 4 different picture palettes. Just keep cycling between each one whenever you're on that screen, and then on that screen cycle the 4 different watercolors, and it would animate slowly, but that might be okay. It's one of those little touches that is so much more complicated than it appears. Yeah, it is. Thanks for the stream. The solution will come to you in the shower. It always was. Absolutely. Did you ever test how fast that can be done? No, I didn't. Let's test it. Why can't we test it? Blah, blah, blah. What's a good pick to use? Starting background. So we'll use this one. Just on pick 1. Do it method. Let's do that quick just before we go. We need a local variable to control it. Swap in now swap index 0 equals 0. Method do it. If, or no, let's do switch. Switch now swap index 0 and 1. If pal swap index is 0, assign pal swap index 1. And if it's 1, wait. No. We don't need a variable. We need default palette. If it's 0, set it to 1. If it's 1, set it to 0. Basically all we need, right? And we don't need this. Oh, it doesn't need to be in closing parentheses. I keep forgetting that. What happens? There are errors. What's the error? Oh yes, we don't need this. Wait. Compile all, just to make sure it's all good. Okay. Let's see what happens. Every game cycle. Nothing's happening. Oh, it's gonna redraw the screen. So not only do we reset, we have to redraw the screen. Okay. Assign G default palette 1, and then draw pick. Draw pick. G room. Or just room. Super room? Oh, picture. Super would get it from RM, right? No, it wouldn't. G room picture I should just do. G room picture. That's how you do it. Okay, picture. I forget what the kernel function is. Draw pick. Pick number. I wonder what this 100 is for. Self-draw pick. Picture. Yeah, I'll just draw it again. I don't need anything else there. Doesn't like it though. Didn't have the closing parentheses. Let's see how fast it can draw. It's changing default palette, but it's not. Okay, what's the draw pick? Pick number, and then animation DP clear. No, we don't want to clear. No, clear. And then default palette would be default palette. There we go. That's how fast it is. And it flickers like crazy. That's no good. It redraws the sprites every cycle. It's not going to be any good, even if we change the screen. What happens if we clear it? So it's redrawing the picture and then redrawing the sprites on top. So it's not feasible. Yeah. If I increase the cycles, it'll go faster. I won't torture you if you're epileptic with that. Oh well. Wave as a view could be optimized by being transparent instead of the main ocean color. Yeah. Yep. That would work. And really, that's how water animations are done in SCI games. They're just separate views. But just having one that big. I was actually going to animate on this screen the waves coming up, and I have a whole view ready for that. It's a very old view. Right here. Copied the entire shoreline. I was going to animate it. But I just haven't done it yet. It doesn't load in the room at all or anything. I just was kind of intimidated by that, animating something that large realistically, so I didn't bother. Is it better to have several smaller views? Probably, yeah. But it's too bad that won't work. So picture drawing really just has to be on entering the room affair. You can't be redrawing constantly in the same room. It's just too much going on. We'll figure it out. Figure out some ways. We can't use palettes. We'd have to use views for animating. Like King's Quest 1 has so obviously there's animating going on here. I wonder if that's... There is... Sure. I just want to see how big that animation is in the front of the castle. Where is it? There it is. So we have Ripple. Oh, it's not a view. Gate, urn. Really? It's not a view? G1, that's guard 1, that's guard 2, that's the gate, that's the urn, and guard 1. How is that animating? I don't know what view that is animating. It must be a region. 605 is the only other region, which is water. But I think it's specifically the reflection. The moat. Okay. Moat region. Goat reflect, eagle reflect, moat monster, monster tail, monster head. Left, right, down, front. View 14. What's view 14? Oh, that's if he falls down into the water. Smoke monster. I'm trying to find where it's handling the animation of that water. Don't reflect. Eco reflect. Oh, and then there's. Oh no, that's part of the eco reflect code. Fascinatingly, I can't find this animating stuff. It kind of looks like it's repeating now, so maybe it's 3 copies of the same view animating it the same way. Because this part here looks like this part here. Also curious what kind of limits there are on number of frames. I don't think there's a hard limit. Really, you usually don't need more than, 10 or something like that. If you wanted to get great, you go ahead and make the frames if you want to animate it, and I'll figure out the rest. Like if you figure out a cool color cycling way with ProMotion, because you've done color cycling with EGA before, right? With ProMotion. If you can figure out a cool color cycling way to do it, just send me 1 picture for each frame of that color cycling. 255 is the maximum number of frames. You run out of memory long before that if they are large cells. Yeah. I don't think we need that many, especially if we're only 16 colors. Yeah, just export them. I'll figure out the animation. If you got an animation that looks good on your end, I'll figure out how to make it work on my end. That's interesting though. I can't find where that animating water is. I figured it would be Ripple, right? But this is a handle event. The vines. Fascinating. Anyway, yeah, we can do it in pieces. We can repeat. We'll figure out a way. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. It's been a great 3 hours. We figured out some stuff. We're not done yet, but that's great because that just means we have more to do later. And my wife is calling me, so that's good timing. So I'll end right now. Thank you everybody for joining. Have a great rest of your day, Critical, Deabor, Shadon, Slats if you're still around. And thanks a lot. Bye, guys.